This is the Louie T Network. The journey is long, and nobody said it was going to be easy. But all we've got is us. All that believe is us. The Redskins Report.
Welcome, all my fellow Redskin brethren and sistren. I am your man and resident Redskins fan, Lou. Thank you for joining me on the Redskins Report. What a beautiful day it is. We on the board, folks. We got a W. You can put us on the board. Yeah. Got us one. Snaps that 9-game losing streak that we were on, and that was a very pitiful losing streak indeed. Glad to see that it's behind us in the rearview mirror now. I had a normal scheduled program lined up where I would go through, the intricate details of my notes of Sunday's performance. However, of course, as you know, this game is not like your standard Redskins Sunday victory at FedEx Field. This is a little bit different because of the circumstances surrounding the victory. And so, because of that, I'm going to do the show a little bit differently today. Just going to kind of highlight some of the things I think are talking points throughout the game. Maybe pick out one or two things that happened in each quarter. And then we're going to get to the meat and potatoes of what we're really here to discuss today, which is, of course, the Robert Griffin III injury and the impact of that long term. And so, I got a lot of discussion that I want to have back and forth between myself and you guys out there as Redskins fans, and what do you think is going to happen moving forward. And even if you're not a Redskins fan and you happen to be watching, and you can chime in. I know a lot of you probably don't like Robert Griffin III, don't think he's a good quarterback, don't think he's a great fit, yada, yada, yada. That's fine. You can voice your opinion as well. They won't hold as much weight as a fellow Redskins fan's opinion, but of course, they all matter nonetheless. So I want to just quickly jump into the game. Of course, Redskins were able to get the victory 41-10 over the Jacksonville Jaguars. And I want to definitely kind of make sure that everyone is in the right frame of mind mentally after this victory. Again, as fans, you can get really, really high, and I don't want you to get too low after a loss. But keep in mind, keeping in its proper perspective, it was the Jacksonville Jaguars, folks, okay? Keep that in its proper perspective. We had a field day against a bad football team, and they're getting better, and they had a really bad day, and we had a really good day. So keep it in its proper perspective. A play here, a play there, this game could be totally different. And I know that sounds strange when you win by 31 points and you put up a 40-burger. However, you know that I know that you know that I know that you know that we both know that if Allen Hurns catches that touchdown early on in the first quarter, on literally the Jacksonville Jaguars' first possession, if he catches that football, we're not talking about a 41-10 victory for the Redskins. We're talking about a different ballgame. Now, do we win or lose? That's nor here nor there. All I know is the game turns out totally different, and we both know that. So let's jump into the review of this game quickly. I'll comb over some things. I'm not going to go through my notes, even though I took an abundance of notes. I don't want to do that today because there's too much to talk about. This video would be 2 hours long if I did it that way. Let's just jump into a quick overview of the game and move on. So, of course, we start the game with Robert coming out, read option, drops 11 on the Jacksonville Jaguars, pulls it out. And the zone read hadn't been as successful. The read option hadn't been as successful because Robert hadn't threatened the defense with the run. They always expected him to give it to Alfred, and he had been doing that of late. He wasn't pulling the football out and taking off. He was giving it to Alfred no matter what the defensive end was doing. And so in order to make teams respect the fact that he could run it, he had to run it. And he did. Got 11 on first down. That was a very, very beautiful sight to these eyes, as I imagine it's the same for you as Redskins fans, to see him scramble with the ball. And not only scramble and pick up 11 in the first down, but get down and not take a hit. So all of those things warmed my heart. Then Redskins go up top. Robert Griffin III throws a beautiful ball in double coverage to Deshaun Jackson. D-Jax looks like he comes down with the football. As he goes to the ground and is sliding with the football in his possession, a Jacksonville Jaguars defender comes over him and hits him, brushes his arms up, the ball comes out. Looks like a catch to me. Even the resident ex-official Mike Carey from the CBS crew said that, hey, that looks like a catch to me. He was down, he maintained possession. Only after he was down did the football come out, and he was down for at least 2 seconds. But that's nor here nor there. The officials looked at it again after ruling it incomplete, and they came back and said that it was an incomplete pass. I didn't agree with it. Mike Carey didn't agree with it. The commentators of the game didn't agree with it. And guess, most importantly though, none of that matters. Guess who didn't agree with it either? The football gods didn't agree with it either. And so they had some rectifying to do, and they struck quick. And I love quick, active justice from the football gods, especially when it is in our favor. So we don't get to play. The next play, Robert Griffin III is sacked. Tyler Columbus, he was put in between a rock and a hard place. You always want to protect against the most imminent danger to the quarterback. The most clear and present danger, which is the guy inside, because he has the most direct path to the quarterback. They always talk about the quickest way to get somewhere is north and south. Well, the guy inside has the quickest way to the quarterback. So Tyler Columbus made a mistake. He had two guys to block, and he had to pick. He blocked neither. He let the guy inside go by him. He let the guy on the outside go by him. He tried to give both of them one arm apiece. He blocked nobody. The guy on the inside ended up getting the sack. Just like on field goals and punts, they always tell that guy on the outside, that wing guy, hey, you take away the most dangerous and imminent threat. That's the guy on the inside. If you don't get a piece of the guy on the outside, so be it. But make sure you block the guy on the inside. Tyler Columbus failed to do that. He gives up a sack. We got to punt the football. Jacksonville on their first possession. Chad Henne finds a wide open Allen Hurns. D'Angelo Hall, being nosy in the backfield, eyes on the quarterback instead of the receiver, bites down on the double move. Allen Hurns, who was the star of the first half of that Philadelphia Eagles game a week ago, where he had 4 catches for 110 yards and 2 touchdowns in the first quarter last week, had us hook, line, and sinker. If he catches that football, he walks into the end zone. It's 7-0, and that's what I'm talking about. This is a different ball game. If he catches that football, instead he drops it, and you know what that was. That was the football gods righting a wrong, balancing out the scales. Everything's equal now. The playing field has been leveled. You can go back to your regularly scheduled programming now. Everything is right in this game now. All is right in the world. The football gods have spoken, and so Allen Hurns didn't catch the football. And that was simply the football gods evening out the playing field from that Deshaun Jackson botched call. And so now we're all even. Now we can go back to playing football 0-0. Hey, whoever wins from here on out, it's on your own volition. Football guys have nothing to do with it. So that was good to see. We dodged a bullet because that easily could have been a 77-yard touchdown. Boom, just like that. Crowd silent. Redskins pointing fingers, and all of a sudden, us as fans are looking around saying, not again. Not the Jacksonville Jaguars. Not in our house. Are we about to lose to the Jaguars? So all of those thoughts would have crossed our mind. Instead, we got spared because he dropped the football. And so the Jaguars ultimately have to punt as we get to Chad Henne on 3rd down and sack him. They punt the football back to us. Robert does read option again, picks up another 1st down, looks really good doing it. And so once again, you're starting to see some of the old flashes of Robert Griffin III. And I talked about that in the preview for this game. I said he needed to return to being a playmaker. That sitting in the pocket, waiting to be hit, that's not who he is. He will grow as a pocket passer. That will happen over time. However, you need to still continue to be a playmaker. That's what we drafted you to be, and we started to see that. Elements of that in this game. He got off to a really good start in this game. Then he rolls out of the pocket, eludes pressure, gets to the sideline. Before he's able to take a shot, he throws a dart to Deshaun Jackson, who picks up 19 on the play. It's vintage Robert Griffin III. It's what we all want to see from him. It's what we have come accustomed to seeing from him when we got spoiled in 2012. So to see him do that, it almost brought a tear to my eye. But what was sheer joy from the 19-yard gain and everybody was so elated to see him out of the pocket and making plays turned to a nightmare, essentially, in the span of 3 seconds. You go from, yes, great throw, Robert, great play, D-Jax, to, oh my gosh, hands on the head. Hands on the head. What in the hell just happened? And Robert's on the ground. He's writhing in pain. He's not moving. He's pounding the ground, and you're saying to yourself, no. What happened? I was thinking he took a shot. You know, when I hear Robert Griffin III is down and I haven't seen him yet, I'm thinking, okay, because the guy was bearing down on the linebacker, was bearing down on him. Puz Lusney was coming down, and I thought he gave him a shot by the sidelines. I said, okay, he probably took a shot. He'll be all right, knock the wind out of him or something. And then when I see him writhing in pain, that's not a oh, I got the wind knocked out of me. That's a, oh no, something's terribly wrong. They showed a replay, and on the first replay, I didn't see the ankle. I was checking for the knee. I was checking for an ACL, an LCL, a PCL, MCL, all of that stuff. I was checking for all the LCLs. I was looking for that needle buckle. I was looking for something gruesome. I didn't get it. So when they showed it the second time, now I'm looking for Achilles. And that's when I ran into the ankle and I said, oh my goodness, that's not good. And that made me realize that throw was heroic because literally he hurt his ankle before the throw. He planted, he dislocated the ankle. Then he put the ankle up. He put that whole leg in the air and didn't move it. Throws a dart, a frozen rope to D-Jax. And then goes down, doesn't move the leg at all. And so for him to even complete that pass, man, that's a hell of a throw. And that's a lot of intestinal fortitude. But he's down, he's hurt. We don't know what's going on. He falls off on the sideline so play can resume. And so Kirk Cousins comes in the game, of course. We run one play, and then the very next play after that, he finds D.Y. Darrell Young in the end zone, wide open, touchdown, 7-0. But all attention and all thoughts are on Robert Griffin III. I mean, we just scored a touchdown. I should be elated. Yeah, but I'm not. I'm thinking about what's going on with Robert Griffin III. They send the card out. He's got an air cast on. Now I'm saying to myself, wow, wowzers. This isn't good. They stabilized the leg. They put him on a cart. You could tell he had been crying, so he knew something was wrong. He was in excruciating pain. That wasn't good. So we have no choice but next man up. And so Jacksonville comes on the field offensively. We shut them down. We get the football back. Kirk Cousins throws another deep ball to D-Jax, and it is broken up. Nice play by the Jacksonville Jaguar defender, but that wasn't the big part of that play. The big part of that play was D-Jax is now down. He's now writhing in pain on the floor, and he's grasping at his shoulder. Take a look at the replay. He comes right down on his shoulder. So does the defender. Next thing you know, we're talking about an AC joint being sprained. His return not happening in this game. So now you're down one of your best defensive linemen in Barry Cofield. Now you're down your starting quarterback in Robert Griffin III. You're down your starting tight end in Jordan Reed. And now you're down your best wide receiver, most explosive wide receiver in Deshaun Jackson. What else can go wrong for this Redskins team? You're thinking to yourself. And this is what I said to most fans of other teams. This is how you know, and I've said this, I've been singing this song all preseason and all regular season long. We're a very talented team. This is the most talented Redskin team I've seen in a very long time, and I've told you this on numerous occasions. And this is how you know you're talented. This is when your talent is tested. This is how you know you have a talented group. In past years, if you take our starting quarterback away from us, our best receiver, our best tight end, and one of our best defensive linemen, you take all those guys away from us, there's no way the Redskins are winning any game. I don't care who you're playing. I don't care if you're playing the worst team ever. The Redskins aren't winning 41-10. It's not happening. But because we're so talented, because we have so much depth on this roster, we can withstand those injuries, circumvent them, and score 41 points in a blowout victory. That's how good we are right now as a football team. And I try to warn you, we're a talented bunch. We just have to play together as a football team. And so we're able to circumvent those injuries. And now kind of want to just jump into a couple of points and move on. Kirk Cousins, I thought he played a very good football game. Of course, he started the game 12 of 12. Niles Paul was outstanding. Outstanding! For a second week in a row, almost eclipsing 100 yards. He dropped a wide open corner route. Had he caught that, he would have eclipsed 100 yards in this game. But he had a stellar game. Sets up a touchdown for Alfred Morris, who had 2 first-half touchdowns. Next thing you know, Redskins are up 21-0. We put pressure on Chad Henne all game long to the tune of 10 sacks. 4 of them via Ryan Kerrigan, another 2 by Hatch. And Jason Hatcher, to me, right now, is the biggest free agent acquisition that we've had since London Fletcher. It's not even close. To me, Jason Hatcher is the key to this defense. Keep in mind, every game he's played in, he's gotten a sack, and we've gotten pressure on the quarterback. Every game he has not played in, we have had no pressure and no sacks on the quarterback. Remember this. He didn't play in the first 2 preseason games. He was dealing with the healing process of the surgery that he had in the offseason, so he was still kind of recovering from that. And he didn't play the first 2 preseason games. We didn't get any sacks in the first 2 preseason games. Okay? Now, I think we might have sacked Matt Castle in the first preseason game against the Patriots, but, I mean, come on. They played essentially no one in that game, did the Patriots. Remember, he comes back against Baltimore in preseason game number 3. He gets a sack in that game. We pressured Joe Flacco in that game. And you look at the season opener, we got pressure against Ryan Fitzpatrick. Not a lot, but Hatch got a sack in that game. You go to week number 2, he gets another sack, and he really started the sack brigade in this game by getting pressure. I saw this guy splitting double teams, beating guys into the backfield. He's a monster. That was money well spent. If he stays healthy, this is a top 10 defense right here, the Redskins are. If he stays healthy, he is the key. He and Keenan Robinson, to me, have made the world of difference on this football team defensively. I think that they have made this defense legit. And with Chris Baker, big swaggy, playing the way that he's playing, and now he's back in his natural position at nose tackle with Barry Cofield being out. I thought he had a stellar game as well. I thought this defense as a whole played very well. I'll talk about the defense a little bit later on, but it's 21-0 as we approach halftime. And of course, you have to get your complimentary Bakari Rambo screw up. And so, of course, Bakari Rambo is in the secondary, back deep. Chad Henne throws a simple corner route to Mercedes Lewis, or excuse me, a simple wheel route up the sidelines to Mercedes Lewis. All Bakari Rambo has to do is take a sound, fundamentally sound angle. That's it. If he takes the right angle, he's going to make a tackle. If he doesn't make the tackle, at least he'll be able to slow him up until the rest of the congregation comes and gets this guy on the ground. Instead, he takes a terrible angle. Nobody is able to help him. There's no convoy coming to save him. Now, he runs out of bounds after missing the tackle and tries to run him down from behind. Mercedes Lewis fast enough to get in the end zone from 63 yards out. It's 21-7. And so those are the type of mistakes. Keep in mind, Redskins have only given up 2 touchdowns on the season. That's it, 2. Bakari Rambo is responsible for both of them. So you could see the frustration on the sidelines as Raheem Morris chewed him out. A lot of the players were upset with him on that play. Bakari Rambo is no longer a Washington Redskin. If you didn't know, he was released on Tuesday. He's no longer a part of this team. They've replaced him now with Brandon Merriweather, who is coming off of suspension. So we're getting our secondary back intact. That's a good thing. And so no more Bakari Rambo. Look, I don't have a problem with the young man personally, but like I was telling someone else, hey man, you don't have to go home. You just got to get out of here, man. You got to go. You can't stay here. You got to go. And so he gives up the touchdown. It's 21-7. We try to go down the field, get some points before the half. We're unable to do so as Kirk Cousins is sacked. So we go to the halftime break up 21-7. Come out in the third quarter. Chris Baker starts the quarter off, or the half rather, in great fashion with a tackle for loss on Toby Gerhart. We stifled the run. And I told you we're going to have one of the best rushing defenses in the league, I think, if we can stay relatively healthy. 7 carries, 8 yards for Toby Gerhart on the day. That's how you stop the run. Now, always helps when you jump on a team and force them to abandon the run, but they weren't running the football, whether they were in this game or not. They weren't going to have success running the football on us. They just weren't. And so you look at Trent Williams had and so did D'Angelo Hall. I don't want to leave him out. He had a very, very irresponsible, unsportsmanlike penalty, did Trent Williams, and D'Angelo Hall had a stupid personal foul penalty in the first half. So we had a lot of penalties in this game. For all of the good that we did, there were two things that stuck out like a sore thumb to me on the negative side of things in this game. One were the penalties. We had over 10 penalties for over 100 yards. That can't happen. If we're playing a better team, those penalties are going to come back to haunt us. We can't continue to make the mistakes that we made in this game penalty-wise. And another sore spot for me in this game was, as well as the defense played, we got 10 sacks, we dominated on both sides of the football, we dominated the line of scrimmage. We didn't have but one turnover. Trenton Robinson had a beautiful interception on a play. He jumps a route, is able to come down with an interception. I'm happy for Trenton Robinson. They benched Bakari Rambo, gave him an opportunity, and he stepped up and took advantage of that opportunity, getting an interception. But we only forced one turnover. For all the sacks, we didn't get the football out, we didn't force any fumbles. You got to generate turnovers as a defense. That's one of your jobs as a defense. Get off the field on third downs, stop teams from putting up points, and force turnovers, give the offense short fields. And we didn't do that in this game. We had one turnover. So for as impressive a victory as it was and impressive defensive performance, we didn't have any turnovers. We had one turnover. We've got to be better at generating turnover. Right now, we're still negative in the turnover differential. We need to start generating more turnovers. But with that being said, I thought this was a great performance by just about everybody on the roster. Niles Paul catches a back shoulder fade in the end zone to get the scoring started off in the fourth quarter as we take a 31-7 lead at that point. I stopped taking notes at that point in the game because I knew we had this one in the bag. Like I said, Kirk Cousins, 22 of 33, 250, 2 touchdowns. Thought he had a phenomenal game. He started out 12 of 12 in this game. But just remember this. He started 12 of 12, and then he finished up the game 10 of 21. So there's a lot of work to be done, okay? He started out hot, and then he cooled off considerably. Now, he did have a Niles Paul drop, and there were some other plays in there that maybe could have been completed, but that's nor here nor there. The fact of the matter is he's got to play better, more consistently for 4 quarters. We've got to do a better job of limiting the penalties. We've got to generate more turnovers, and we've just got to be able to be more consistent as a football team. But it was a great win. I want everybody out there to keep this in its proper perspective. It was the Jacksonville Jaguars, okay? And I think they're a better football team than they were last year, and they're getting better, but they got a lot of new parts out there. Their offensive line has been shuffled around, and you could tell they still haven't gelled together yet. And so and Chad Henne took a lot of sacks. Chad Henne took a lot of sacks. We got pressure on the quarterback, but just let this be known, okay? Make no mistake about it. If this is a veteran quarterback that actually is good, that has the presence of mind to see the blitz coming and understands what he needs to do, whether it's change protection or get rid of the football on a hot route, whatever the case may be. Make a side adjustment and hit a quick hit or whatever the case may be. If this was Drew Brees, if this was, of course, Peyton Manning, if this was Tom Brady, any one of those elite quarterbacks, Aaron Rodgers, you could even take a step back and go to the second tier quarterbacks that are right under those guys, the Matt Ryans of the world and guys like that. If, you know, these are Joe Flacco's and guys, they pick that apart. They pick us apart coming on these blitzes and whatnot. They eat us alive. So don't think for one second that we're just going to show up and get sacks like this every week. This was a product of Chad Henne not getting rid of the football, eating a couple of sacks that he shouldn't have, and their offensive line not being a cohesive unit yet. But take nothing away from our team. We went out and we dominated from start to finish, and we get a 41-10 victory. I was happy to see some of the young guys get in. Silas Red come in, and I wanted that 40-burger back. When we went for it on 4th down, I wanted him to score a touchdown so bad. For him to make the move that he did, reverse field, and suck in the outside contain and get to the outside and score, I was so proud of Silas Red. And I was like, that's why you're on this team, man. That's why you're on this team. So I wanted that 40-burger back, and we got it. And to see a guy like Frank Kurtz get in, who I saw dominating in the preseason, to see him get in and get a sack, that's the type of depth I'm talking about. We're a talented football team. Our third-string guys are coming in and getting sacks. And I think Frank Kurtz is a guy that if he played the entire season would end up with 6 sacks on the season from the defensive end position. Because I think he's that talented. We've got depth all along this football team, and you saw it on display in this game. I thought Perry Riley Jr. had a tremendous game. He blitzed, picked up a couple of sacks. thought Rack was around the football and he was lively out there. He came away with a sack in this game. Everybody played well defensively. I thought David Amerson, DA, had a chance to pick off a pass. Got to catch that. He dropped an interception. He was around the football all game long. I just thought we did a phenomenal job defensively of getting off the field on third downs and getting stops. But we need to generate turnovers. Now, with that being said, Redskins come away with the 41-10 victory. Let's talk about some of these injuries quickly, and then we'll move on. You had Andre Roberts. He tweaked something. He's fine. He's day-to-day. He'll be ready for the Eagles coming up. Deshaun Jackson, AC joint sprain. Highly unlikely to play. I mean, they're telling us day-to-day. I'm not buying it. You know, when you sprain an AC joint, normally there's a lot of swelling. There's a lot of soreness. There's a little bit of a range of motion issue that you have with that. For those of you who have never really sprained your AC joint, I have sprained it. But it wasn't a severe sprain, you know, and there's different levels of sprains. Mine was very mild, but it still hurt like hell. And so to hear he has an AC joint sprain, I don't know how severe the sprain is, but it doesn't feel good. And as a football player, I was a baseball player. That's how I sprained mine. And to be a football player and have to take contact on it, I just don't see how he's able to play against the Eagles. And I know the one game on the calendar that he didn't want to miss was week 3 going back to Philly against the Eagles. This is the one game he didn't want to miss. He might actually have to sit this one out. Robert Griffin III, let's talk about this situation. And this is basically the meat and potatoes of everything right here. Robert Griffin III and his situation in this game. Now, like I said, this was the most bittersweet victory I've ever had as a Washington Redskins fan. And I've been a Washington Redskins fan since the tender age 3. And this is the most bittersweet victory that I've ever come across. And we dominated in every facet of the game, yet I wasn't able to fully celebrate the victory like I wanted to because of what was looming. And that was that cloud hanging over our head, the Robert Griffin III injury. Now, let me say this first, get it out of the way. I want to touch on it quickly because I don't want to spend a lot of time on it because that kind of nonsense doesn't deserve a lot of time on this program. But I do need to address the ignorance nonetheless. For those of you out there that were excited to see Robert Griffin III go down, were cheering for him to get injured, and were happy to see Kirk Cousins in the game, shame on you, that's first. And number 2, I have nothing to say to you. I have no words for you. We're all family. Whether you like Robert Griffin III, don't think he's a good quarterback or not, you're a Redskins fan. We all bleed burgundy and gold. We're all family. With that being said, however, if you feel that way, that's pure ignorance on your part. That's number 1. And so ignorance isn't always bliss. But obviously you're happy with your ignorance. So I'm going to tell you to march yourself over to the corner, sit down in the corner by yourself, and let us Redskins fans who know what's going on, who aren't ignorant, talk about this like grown-up adults. So with that being said, you go over there and have your ignorance to yourself. We're going to talk about real Redskin matters right now. So, and I'm done with that. I've already spent way too much time on people who don't get it. So I'm not talking about that anymore. Now, with that being said, that injury does a number of things, and it really opens up Pandora's box, which we were trying to close. I know I had both hands, and I tried to sit on it. I was trying to close Pandora's box, but it pushed me off, and things just went flying everywhere, and now the box has been opened, and I don't know if we're going to be able to close it, at least not in 2014. Here's why. Kirk Cousins played well in this game. And there's no mistaking that the offense runs better. It runs like a well-oiled machine with Kirk Cousins because right now, Kirk Cousins is a better pocket passer. Nobody is debating that. You know, you heard Joe Theismann, I even heard Phil Simms, who I think is a clown, come out and comment that this offense is better with Kirk Cousins. No duh, because Kirk Cousins is a better pocket passer. But what you have to do is allow Robert Griffin III to grow into that. There's going to be some growing pains, but he brings something to the table that Kirk Cousins doesn't, and that's the it factor. The ability to escape the pocket when nothing's there, to create with your legs, to make something out of nothing. He has that. Now, Kirk Cousins, he's able to maneuver within the pocket, make things happen, find guys, the ball comes out quicker. We all understand that, but this is an investment. Robert Griffin III is an investment. He's not a guy that you're looking for immediate returns on your investment right now. We're looking for this to be something that we reap the benefits from over the long haul, over the next 10, 12, 15 years. Of course, he's got to stay healthy. That's the biggest issue right now lingering with him is these injuries. But we're looking for him to grow into a pocket passer that can still beat you with his legs if need be. And that takes time. He's not a natural pocket passer. That's going to happen. So what you would have to understand is, yes, Kirk Cousins will be better suited for this offense right now, but the ceiling on Kirk Cousins is right here. I can see that ceiling. The ceiling for Robert Griffin III is up here somewhere in the stratosphere. I can't even see it. Neither can you. That's how high the ceiling is if he's able to stay on the field and able to play and get better at his craft. So now the question that I pose to you and the dilemma that we find ourselves at is, what if Robert Griffin III is able to come back this year? But what if Kirk Cousins is playing lights out football? Let's say Robert Griffin III misses 8 games, okay? Let's just go with the sake of the argument that he's ready to come back after the bye week. I believe that's Tampa Bay week number 11, if I'm not mistaken, maybe week 12, okay? So let's just say that Robert Griffin III misses the next 8 games and Kirk Cousins goes 6-2 in that stretch. Okay, so we go to the bye week. Let's say, and I don't know exactly when the bye week is. Let's just assume that the bye week is week 10. Okay, let's say we go into the bye week 6-3. All right, Kirk Cousins has played phenomenal football. We get a victory over the Seahawks. We beat the Giants, the Eagles. Let's say we lose to the Cowboys. Okay, and we drop another 2 games, but we win, 2 more, and we end up 6-3 at the break. Before the bye. And Robert Griffin III is ready to come back, and he's ready to perform after the bye week. And Kirk Cousins is sitting here with 18 touchdowns and 6 interceptions and 2,200 passing yards and a completion percentage of up over 61%. And he's playing phenomenal football. What do you do? What do you do? Do you tell Robert, hey man, we're glad you're back, we're glad you're healthy, but you got to sit down. You can't play. Or do we say, all right, Kirk, thanks for your service. You've done a wonderful job. You've put us in a position to try to win this division. Now you got to go back to the bench. How does that work? How does that dynamic go? And this is a week-to-week league here. Kirk Cousins could show up, play like he did against Jacksonville, and then next week against Philly, he could go back to playing like he did at the end of last season where he just was straight garbage. So you don't know what you're getting from Kirk Cousins yet, but let's just go with the hypothetical situation where he comes and he balls out. And Robert Griffin III is ready to come back in 8 weeks. What do you do? What do you do? I don't know what to do. As a fan, I'm torn because I want Robert Griffin III on the field. I want to have success with Robert Griffin III. I want him to be the guy that makes us successful because I know that's where our bread is buttered long term. We invested in this guy, 2 first-rounders and a second-rounder. That's where our bread is going to be buttered from here on out. I'm on the Robert Griffin III train and I'm not getting off. So why not make this ride and experience a very enjoyable one? That's the way I feel. So do you just tell Robert, okay, come on back. Let's see if we can get this thing going. Or do you say, all right, Robert, Kurt is playing well. You sit down for a while, and if we need you, we'll pull you out of the bullpen. And then next year, starting with next year, you say, all right, Robert, it's your team again. You go back at it. How does that work? I think that's the biggest question coming away from all this. I know that's a long way down the road because Kirk Cousins could come in, stink it up, and be the inverse of that. We could be 3-6, and then we will be begging for Robert to come back. But, I don't think that's going to be the case because we're so talented. Defensively, like I said, if we stay relatively healthy, we're going to be a top 10 defense. We're going to be a top 10 defense. And I feel like if we're able to run the football like we did in the Jacksonville game, and even in the Houston game, I thought we had success running the football. If we're able to have guys step up like they did in the Jacksonville game, if we're able to generate some more turnovers, kind of eliminate the penalties, I still feel like that was a sore spot in that game. If we're able to do all of the things we did well in Jacksonville and minimize the things we didn't do well against the Jaguars, we're going to be a hell of a team and a tough team to beat, home or away. So I find it hard to believe that we can't at least go 4-4 during that stretch in which, Robert Griffin III could be on the shelf before the bye week. I mean, I could easily see us getting to the bye week at 5-5. What do you do if you're at 5-5? You're even. It's not like Kirk Cousins is lining it up, per se. You're at 500, which is where you left off at when Robert got injured. Do you just tell Robert to come on back? That's the question I think that we're facing right now is how severe is the injury? We still don't know. He's got the cast on. They'll reevaluate his ankle once the swelling goes down and they're able to see some things with these MRIs and these x-rays. But there's no structural damage to his shoulder, to Deshaun Jackson's shoulder or his ankle. Now it's all about, are there any fractures? And if there are, then he'll probably miss the entire season. So right now, we remain optimistic. The Redskins have remained optimistic. We're hearing, anywhere from 1 month to 2 months. I'm thinking it's more along the latter. He can't be back in a month. He can't be. No way. Now, after his ankle looked like that, he's got to be out at least 2 months. I'm thinking more like 2.5, 3 months, most likely. And so we'll see. But that's the question I pose to you. What do you do? If we're 6-3 at the bye week and Robert's ready to go after the bye week, what do you do? If Kirk Cousins is playing lights out, what do you do? We already know the answer to it if Kirk Cousins isn't playing lights out. That's a simple fix. But what if he is playing lights out? What if we are winning football games? What do you do? That's the big question you got to ask yourself. But nonetheless, I am a Redskin fan, etched in burgundy and gold. My Redskin spirit will never die. My Redskin spirit will never fold. Until we meet again, hail to the Redskins. Big victory. Keep it in proper perspective. It was the Jacksonville Jaguars. Here's a true test. NFC East champion Philadelphia Eagles on the road with a backup quarterback. Probably no Deshaun Jackson. That's the real test. How good are you? We'll find out on Sunday versus the Eagles. Of course, we're going to break that down and come up with a preview on Friday. I'll see you then. Enjoy the Thursday night action that you'll get between the next time I talk to you and now. Just answer the question. That's all I want to hear from guys. What do you do if Kirk Cousins is playing good football and Robert is ready to come back? Looking for your answers. I'll see you next time. Have a good one.
The Redskins Report.